The parachute Adams. This is one of the most dependable dry flies you can carry in your box. When fish are rising and you're not exactly sure what they're eating, this fly is often the answer. And if you're getting into fly tying, it's a great pattern to learn new skills of the vise. The materials are simple, I've got them here on screen. And if you want the full recipe with sizes and links, we put together a free material breakdown you can grab. Scan the QR code on screen or check out the link in the description below this video. All right, let's start tying. I'll walk you through this step by step. First, place your hook securely in the vise. Then start your thread and lock it in with a few wraps and trim the tag end. From there, wrap your thread forward and then back to the bend, creating a smooth thread base along the hook shank. Next, we'll prep our tail. Start by pulling off 6 to 8 fibers from a quality grizzly Coq de Leon feather. Hold those fibers at a 45-degree angle next to the hook and secure them with one loose wrap. This is just a temporary wrap to keep the fibers from falling when we line up the second color. Next, pull off 6 to 8 fibers from a brown Coq de Leon feather. Line up the tips of the brown fibers with the grizzly fibers already in the hook. Then grab both sets together with your non-tying hand, undo the loose wrap, and now the fibers should stay nicely aligned. Once the tips are even, measure the tail against the hook. I like mine a little shorter than the length of the hook shank. Grab the fibers at your desired tie-in point and hold them next to the hook at a 45-degree angle. Take 2 loose wraps to capture them, make any adjustments you need, then tighten down and wrap back to the bend of the hook. From there, wrap your thread forward again, stopping at about the 80% mark of the hook. Then trim the excess tail fibers. Next, we'll add our parachute post. Cut off about 1.5 inches to 2 inches of poly yarn, then split that piece in half. Clean up any stray fibers so it's nice and tidy. Hold the yarn at the 80% mark of the hook and secure it with a couple tight wraps. Now twist the yarn so the back side comes forward and the front side goes back. Take 2 more tight wraps in the opposite direction. This creates an X or figure 8 pattern that locks the yarn in place. Add a few more tight wraps in both directions to secure it. If your parachute post ever spins while tying, it usually means these wraps weren't tight enough. Once secure, we're going to bring our thread up the post with the bobbin parallel to the yarn. Make a few wraps upward. Then work your way back down to the hook. Now we'll prep the body. Grab your perfect quills and peel one off the sheet. These quills taper from thick to thin. For a size 14 fly like I'm tying here, I trim the thinner end at about the halfway point so the body tapers nicely and the segments stay evenly spaced. Tie the quill in near the base of the parachute post with this sticky side facing down. Then wrap your thread back toward the tail. To build a little extra taper, add a few wraps of thread to bulk up the body slightly. Once you're back near the post, do a quick one-turn whip finish on the far side to hold everything in place and set your bobbin in the cradle. Now wrap the perfect quill forward to form the body. If you have a rotary vise, this is a great time to use it. Rotate the vise while guiding the quill forward, trying to keep those dark lines evenly spaced. Once you reach the base of the post, hold the quill tight in your non-tying hand. Bring your bobbin back in, switch hands, and go up and over a few times to loosely secure it. Then switch hands again and add a few tighter wraps around and just in front of the quill. Trim the excess flush with the body. Next, we'll prep our hackle. Grab 2 high-quality dry fly hackle feathers, 1 grizzly and 1 brown. If the feathers are really long, I like to cut off a 3 or 4 inch section. That makes them easier to handle and you can still use them for multiple flies. At the base of each feather, pull the fibers downward so they splay out. Then strip off about 10 to 15 fibers on each side of the stem. Hold the feather up next to the hook and make sure the length is about twice the distance from the hook eye to the parachute post. If it's too long, trim the stem slightly. If it's not long enough, pull off a few more fibers. Repeat that process for both feathers. Then stack the feathers together with the shiny sides facing the same direction. To tie them in, hold the feathers next to the gap between the hook eye and the post. Take 1 loose wrap to capture them. Pull the stems forward until they sit just behind the eye. Then wrap back toward the post with tight wraps. Now just like before, bring your thread up the post with vertical wraps. Go until there's a little bit of bare stem left showing on your hackle feathers. And then back down. That exposed stem will make wrapping the hackle easier later on. Now we'll add our dubbing. Grab just a small pinch. With dubbing, less is always better. Twist it onto your thread from right to left to form a short dubbing noodle. Make sure you open your fingers after each twist. If your fingers stay closed, that dubbing won't attach to the thread. Then fill the gap between the eye and the parachute. I like to create a slight taper on both sides towards the post. If you didn't grab enough dubbing like I did here, create another small noodle and keep going. Once you run out of dubbing, make sure your last wrap is around the post, finishing with your thread behind the fly. This is going to help when we lock in the hackle. Speaking of that, now it's time to wrap the hackle. Give it 2 or 3 turns down the post. I like wrapping with the dull side facing up. That keeps the fibers angled upward and makes tying off much easier. Once you reach the bottom, use your thread to carefully make 2 or 3 wraps tight to the body around the post, trying not to trap any hackle fibers. Easier said than done. That locks the first feather in place. Then repeat the same process with the second feather. Once both are secured, we'll trim the hackle stems as close as possible. If any fibers get caught and point downward, just trim them away with your scissors. Next, grab your scissors again and trim the parachute post to your desired length. Doing it now keeps that chunk of poly yarn out of the way and makes the whip finish easier. I like leaving mine a little taller so it's easier to see on the water. To end it, we'll whip finish around the post. I find it a little easier to rotate the fly sideways in the vise for this step. Use your whip finisher to make 2 or 3 turns around the post, again doing your best not to trap any hackle fibers. Pull tight and trim the thread. One last optional step, grab your bodkin and add a tiny dab of head cement or super glue to the thread wraps around the post. This will make it more durable. And that's it, the Parachute Adams, arguably the greatest dry fly ever created. Just a reminder, if you want the full recipe with sizes and materials, that free material breakdown is linked below. And we're adding new tutorials every month, so if you want to keep building your box, you can check out the next one right here.